Chris Uhlmann's with me now, our political contributor. Chris, what a time, really. Where do we start? Do we start with Israel, Iran, or the diplomatic dance that Albanese is undertaking with Donald Trump? Let's go there, because Andrew reporting that breaking news that the Prime Minister is keeping the option open of going to The Hague next week to NATO.
Yeah, I understand he wasn't going, and so now that he is, do you want to be seen to be necessarily chasing the world trying to get a meeting with Donald Trump? I think there's a good reason for Anthony Albanese to go to the NATO meeting now, and if he does go, I would say that, which is essentially the world really now is in tremendous flux, and meeting with your allies to talk about what's happening in the world makes a lot of sense. If he does go to the NATO meeting, I know there'll be a lot of heat on him to go on to Ukraine. I know the Ukrainians are very keen that he go there. So, and that would be a good thing as well. So I think that the Prime Minister can talk around trying to chase Donald Trump. It's not the Prime Minister's fault that Donald Trump cancels a meeting with him, and Trump had a very good reason to cancel the meeting with him. So I think that I would make the case that there is reason for the Prime Minister to go to NATO now and then perhaps on to Ukraine.
The fascinating thing right now is you look at the election campaign, and Trump played a role in the sense that he was the backdrop, the uncertainty, the chaos, the fact that he's disliked by most Australians, according to the surveys, and it fed into negative views of policies and the individual around Peter Dutton. That was the reality, and that's how it played out. Now, though, Labor can't rest on its laurels when it comes to the alliance, because Australians might think, well, while we don't like that guy, the president, we still have to have that security umbrella.
Isn't it interesting now, Kieran, that we are talking about now all the things that we did not talk about during the election campaign, and one of them is the state of the world and how Australia tries to live within that. And of course, the real reason for meeting Donald Trump is because of another president, and that's Xi Jinping, and what we're going to do about China. That's what the entire AUKUS deal is built around. Now, he can get some comfort for that. AUKUS is under review in Washington at the moment. You would expect that being the case with an incoming administration. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Keir Starmer did get to meet with Donald Trump, and of course the UK is the UK part of AUKUS, and he did get some comfort from the US president that he is committed to this deal. But the reason that Anthony Albanese at some stage needs to get in front of Donald Trump is essentially to talk about two things: trade and a continuation of that pact to get those submarines.
On Iran-Israel, do you think, and obviously we're speculating here big time, but because no one knows what they're going to do, but the Trump language, it's really hard to analyse, in the sense that, is it part of his deal making with Iran, or will he really press the button and use that bunker buster bomb that Israel wants him to?
And on this, I think I do have a little tiny bit of insight, because some time ago, I spoke to an Israeli official and talked about the fact that Israel would attack Iran at some stage, but that it could not be done without the United States, because, as it was put to me, all we need is one bomb. Now, I misunderstood at that stage. I thought they were talking about getting the Americans to drop a nuclear bomb, but that one bomb we now know is this bunker buster bomb. 30,000 tonnes of a weapon that can penetrate into the enrichment facilities, which are buried under a mountain about 160 kilometres south of Tehran is where their enrichment facilities are. The Israelis know where they are, but they can't get to them because they don't have the plane that can carry it, and they don't have the weapon that can do it. So Benjamin Netanyahu, I am sure at some stage, has said to the US president, just one bomb. That's what will be being put to him. Now, you and I both know it will never be just one bomb in that part of the world. But put it this way, Israel's well within its rights to attack Iran on this, because they were weeks away, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, of having enough enriched uranium for multiple bombs. If you were the Israeli Prime Minister, you could never take the risk that one of those was going to be used against your country. So Israel had to act. But what does the US do? That is the question which we'll now see play out.
Indeed. We are waiting to see what Donald Trump does do. He's using the tough talk at the moment. Will he end up following the lead of Israel? I think a lot of the MAGA support base wouldn't be pleased if he were to enter into another Middle East conflict, given the language around stopping the wars, and they don't want to be a part of it. But we'll see what he does. If it is just one bomb, maybe he can get away with it. But that base, a lot of them won't like it.
Look, and what the Australian Prime Minister would like, and we need to think about it from our point of view, is that we would like the US to disentangle itself from the Middle East, to lift its head to what is really the main game here. And the main game in the long run is going to be China in our part of the world, and that is the main game for the United States. And I actually think the US president would like to do that, and his supporters would like him to do that. They certainly don't want him getting involved in any forever wars. He doesn't want that himself, but he may well be about to get just a little bit deeper into the longest running forever war.
Yeah, I remember that quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's like the mafia. The Middle East keeps they try to get out, but they keep
Godfather, mate.
Dragging them back in.
Yeah.